But he talks about it as if, the founding fathers were just morons for all the stuff about checks and balances and democracy and Republican government and all the rest. Because what they should have done is say, all of that stuff applies for 364 days a year, and then on the 365th day of the year, we'll just have tyranny day, and then we'll get everything done, right? And yet he's supposed to be this brilliant guy. And the thing about this is that, first of all, you have to be too stupid to be a spell checker at an M&M factory to think that China is somehow running the better than you, right? First of all, his big thing is how to bring stewards of the environment. A place where you cannot see 10 feet in front of you, throughout most of the year, where rivers are literally on fire. And somehow they're just awesome at protecting the environment. But the bigger thing is this classic progressive desire to live in a society where the experts get to run things, where democracy doesn't get in the way of the planners and the experts and the geniuses who treat society like some sort of intricately engineered math problem, and they have all the answers, and the people who get in the way are a problem. That's the way they see it. And it manifests itself in a bunch of different ways. The nice thing about what I call my book, the cult of unity. This idea that somehow, we all have to be in it together. That if we all work our hardest, we can make this the best yearbook ever, right? But except applying that feeling to government, we all have to be unified. Barack Obama during the campaign constantly talked about hope and unity and hope and hopeful unification for unified hopefulness, or whatever the hell he was talking about. And the problem with this is that, look, hope is not about, unity is not in and of itself a political virtue. Unity can be very good, or unity can be very evil. You know where unified? Rape gangs. The mafia is unified. So are villages when they save a little girl from a well, right? It depends what you're unified about. But Barack Obama and what the Democratic Party, what liberalism and progressivism generally says, we need to be unified so we can do the things that we want to do. I've been following politics for a very long time. I always hear people say we need to move beyond ideology. We need to move beyond our partisan differences. We need to move past these philosophical labels. I have never heard anybody ever say that. I've never heard anybody ever say we need to move beyond ideology. We need to move beyond these labels. We need to join together in the spirit of bipartisanship. And so therefore, I'm going to abandon all of my principles and agree with you. People only ever say that when they want you to shut up and get with their program. When Barack Obama and Al Gore and all these guys say the time for debate is over. Screw that. This is democracy. The time for debate is never over. Unity is not the central value of the American political tradition. Read your Federalist Papers, right? It's all about separation of powers, checks and balances, three branches of government, the judiciary, the legislative, the executive, all vying against each other. You're putting a faction against faction. We have 50 states, and each one of their governments divided up. The whole point is that we are afraid of unity. We are as afraid of the tyranny of the majority as we are the tyranny of the minority. And yet, the hero of the American political tradition is the man who stands up against the mob, not the man who leads the mob. And yet, the best, excuse me, and give you one example to drive you absolutely back. During the campaign, we heard a lot from Barack Obama and from John McCain, because this is a confusion that affects both parties. right? I hate this phrase. Not because I don't believe in being dedicated to a cause larger than yourself, but when you hear it from politicians, it always means something to do with aligning yourself with the state. It always means doing something that the state wants you to do. Volunteering on a cause that they select, getting credit and paid for paid volunteerism, an oxymoron I still do not understand, right? Everybody in America is dedicated to plenty of causes that are larger than themselves. My family is a cause larger than myself. My community is a cause larger than myself. The Tea Party is a cause larger than myself. Your businesses, your communities, your churches, your synagogues, your mosques, your bowling leagues, these are all causes larger than yourself. The only people I've ever heard of who are not dedicated to causes larger than themselves, are serial killers, are people electric, right? Everybody is invested in causes larger than themselves. What we don't do is say that for a cause to be legitimate, it must be sanctioned by the state. Because what you get when you get that is actually you get what you have in Europe. In Europe, the churches are run and paid for by the state, and that's why they are empty. In Europe, people don't believe in philanthropy. I'm not making it up. You read the polls, read the surveys. Europeans consider their taxes to be their philanthropy because they figure anybody in need will get taken care of by the state. The American people are the most generous, philanthropic, charitable people in the world. And the reason why they're most charitable, philanthropic people in the world is because they are free. Because the state doesn't run their lives. It doesn't tell them what to do. And when people press their noses up against the glass and look at Europe, they say, everything's better there because the state takes care of everything. When the state takes care of everything, everything loses its value. Now, thank you so much for sticking around. So I'm going to sort of cut to the chase here. Look, you guys need to be happy warriors. Let me explain why. People ask all the time, why is there poverty in the world? This is an idiotic question. This is, you may be qualified to be a taste tester or a lead paint factory kind of question, right? Is the factory preset of the human condition. As individuals and as a species, we are born penniless, impoverished, ignorant, and illiterate. The history of mankind, everywhere in the world, every race, every people, we all come from dirt, poverty. Even in our own families, no matter how rich your parents were, you're born poor as anybody else. And it's only by what parents give you and teach you that you were raised out of poverty, that was a natural condition of being a condition.